Hi, Sandra Espinoza here, designing sewist teacher and sewing blogger and creator of the Everyday Sewing Skill Set online course. I'm here today looking at this collar that I've been working on. I intermittently work between different projects while I'm teaching my online students how to sew. We move through different aspects of construction. Right now we're working on garment construction and some different details involved there. But I am not quite ready to sew on this collar. It belongs to this shirt. My male dress form has been cross-dressing with my blouse that I had on my other mannequin, but I was working on this skirt, so I had to move some things around. So anyhow, my cross-dressing mannequin here has got a partially finished, embellished top. And so once I finish this embellishment, I can actually attach the collar. I know that there are some problems that come up when you try to sew things like collars and cuffs. They can be really difficult to figure out, and it might be amazing to you to know that I have not used an iron on any bit of this yet. The collar lays, just like I'm not doing anything. I'm not holding it. I'm not doing anything to it. And you can see how the collar just lays really nicely, folding down. The points fold down and they don't poke up away from the body. So for instance, let me just put it on. So you can see how the collar points down. They don't poke up, they don't fold up like this. And I've had problems like that too in the past when I've sewn collars. But you should know that you can make collars that are really nice. You have to shape the collar while you're working on it. Like I said before, this has not been pressed with an iron. This has all just been finger pressed, and it's been worked in such a way that when it's sewn, it just automatically lays and is shaped the way collars should be shaped. And by virtue of the way that they're sewn and handled, they just behave the way they're supposed to. And I want to encourage you as you sew to form your collar pieces on your hand while you're pinning the different pieces together. For instance, when you're sewing the under collar to the collar, and you have the pieces and they'll look sort of like this. I can't undo the whole thing because I'll undo all my work. But I'm just folding back the under collar, and you'll see that I have the seam allowance here of the collar stand. That's the part that the collar is attached to. And then I have the other piece here, the interface side that faces out. But when I pinned those together, I made certain to shape the collar in my hand as I was pinning the pieces together so that it would take the shape after I had finished sewing the pieces. The pins were allowing me to initially see how the collar was getting shaped and remembering which part of the collar was facing up. So you do have to be careful that you keep the interfaced portion of your collar facing up in your hand as you start to work. So if you have your collar attaching directly to your neckline, then you'll shape it as you attach it to that neck seam. If you have it attaching to a collar stand, okay, which is this piece that you're familiar with in a dress shirt, okay, so this piece where there would be a button attached, that piece, you'll have to be careful that you keep all of the pieces in order in the way that you're supposed to sew them and shape while you pin. That's a key piece of making a collar look nice, is shaping it on your hand as you actually pin it to the neckline or to that collar stand. And then you can sew it and then just look at it. And if it looks like it's taking a shape, then you're doing pretty well there. There's a lot more to shaping a collar, but that will get you started and get you familiar with actually seeing your collars improve. There is so much to making a beautiful collar, but that tip should get you far and make you feel more successful as you move through your next collar construction. So I'm excited for you to sew your next collar and really use your hand to help you shape it before you sew it. As you're sewing each stage of your collar, the collar to itself, the under collar to the upper collar, or you might have two collar pieces that are the same size, you need to shape as you sew. Happy collar sewing. You can always see more on these different stages of projects that I have going on here in my sewing studio at ethelandI.com. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to sew with intention because every stitch you make matters.